Well, hello and welcome to episode 230 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. Michaela, today we're talking about something from our childhood, 1990. That was a long time ago. Now that I think about it, I don't like to say it out
It
loud.
really was.
35 years ago. Maybe that's why we're talking about it this week on its 35th anniversary. But today we're going to be talking about, I don't know, one of the most classic, one of the most beloved, like comedy, horror, creature features of them all that features Kevin
Mm.
Bacon, right? It's the
Yeah.
one. It's the one.
I mean,
It's
most
Tremors.
importantly, it has
It's
Reba
Tremors.
McEntire in it.
It also has Reba McEntire and a whole wall of guns.
A whole wall of guns. And it's the one time where it's like, oh man, the survivalists were right.
That's right.
Hey,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah, but we're talking Tremors, which is I feel like now you can't it's like a beloved classic, even though it's not a greatly made film. I don't know what your thoughts were on this when I put this on here. I remember you said it a couple of times in a very chagrined sort of dry way. You were like, well, can't watch, Love Story because we got to watch Tremors, Michaela. That's next
Mm.
week.
Well,
Uh,
that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, no Oscars here for Tremors, but it is a pretty fun time. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We're gonna mix up a cocktail that has the grossest name of all time, but the cocktail itself is pretty good. So don't let the name throw you off there. Grab your blender, grab some mango, and we'll be right back to mix up this week's drink.
So, Brian, as we go into Tremors, Tremors is probably not a movie that I would like eat food while
Mm.
watching, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, especially like with the creatures and the way they die, there's a lot of explosions of guts everywhere. Um, however, uh, Thirsty Thursday Toys, which you can find on YouTube, they did this like toy homage to these graboid creature things that they found in these pods, I guess in Japan. I've
Mm-hmm.
never even seen these toys before, but apparently it took 30 years for them to come out. But in order to pay full homage, they came up with a cocktail that does sound gross, but it's actually not bad. It's called Graboid Guts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it does look very
It does.
similar
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the
Mm.
to
Don't
whatever
think
they
about
were
it.
making on their special effects.
Try not to
The
think about
special
that at
effects
home. Yeah.
professionals were like, what can we do that's orangey and
Yeah, that's
syrupy?
that's true. Yeah, the special effects are what get a lot of the love here in terms of Tremors, and this does kind of look like that. And special shout out to Thirsty Thursday Toys because I love that. Love my nostalgia toys, and obviously we love a cocktail. So go check them out on YouTube. The link to them will be down in the show notes. So let's go ahead and throw one of these together. It's really not all that difficult. The only thing you're going to have to do is get some frozen mango chunks. Maybe you already do that for your smoothie. I don't know for sure. I had to go buy some, but they're easy to find at the grocery store. So into a little blender of some sort. I used my bullet blender for this. I used 1.5 ounces of Reposado tequila. In the video, they used like a golden tequila, like a Jose Cuervo Gold kind of thing. That's not really my jam, so I went with the Reposado route for mine. So 1.5 ounces of that, 3 ounces of pineapple juice. And then you're going to put in just like a half a cup, roughly, I guess, of the mango chunks. And then you can put in a dash of tahini and a dash of cayenne pepper, a couple of ice cubes, and then blend it up until it is smooth and kind of like a little like mango milkshake. If you want to go the
Mm,
extra route, like they did in the video, you can add a couple of drops of like red food coloring. That's going to give it more of like a burnt red, like a dirt red, I guess, of Nevada.
yeah,
Kind of
right.
thing. Perfection Nevada ground there. I don't know for sure, but go ahead and make that up. Sip and enjoy. Michaela, you made one of these. You took the ones that we have featured on the social medias and stuff like that if you want to see pictures. But what do you think about this one?
So I liked this one. I thought it was all right. I think that, depending on your love for spice and mango, maybe you're going to want to play with the chunks versus how much cayenne slash tahine that you want to use. But I liked it well enough. I thought it was pretty good. I do also recommend Reposado tequila rather than a gold, just because I like flavor. But this was pretty good. It definitely looks the part. If you were to keep some of the frozen mango chunks kind of chunky in there, that would
Mm.
also work. So if you don't have frozen, but you want to use fresh mango, you can do that, but just make sure you use ice so it blends really nice and smooth. So it just kind of depends. You can choose your own adventure in this one. I liked this one because again, it was here for not a long time, or it was here for a good time, not a long time, right? This was a very like well like done drink that I'm gonna have one time. I'm probably not gonna make this again, just because it's a lot of pieces. But it was fun. It was fun. I liked
It
it. I liked
was
it. Liked it
it was
well
fun.
enough.
It was fun. It was pretty good. It carries on with our tiki adjacent kind of things we've been doing here over the course of the summer. I like the addition of the cayenne pepper with the mango because a little bit of spice with the mango
Mm.
is nice. But I have to say, if I was going to be critical of it in any sort of a sense, and it's not really a critique so much, but I think that I would have preferred this with a rum as opposed to the tequila to really kind of hone in on that tiki aspect. I think some of the notes of the tequila get drowned out in the frozen nature of
Mm.
this, but maybe
Hmm.
that's just me. So I think I might try to do this because I have still a whole bag of frozen mango chunks. So I might as well mix up another couple of these. But I'm gonna play around and try a little bit of rum, maybe in mine, and see how I like that. So I think it's going to be versatile in that way for me, anyways. So if you make yourself up a Graboid Guts, send us a picture. We definitely want to see it. If you have another cocktail for Tremors, definitely let us know that. But for now, Michaela, what we need to do is we need to blend up another couple of these. Like you said, we're here for a short time, not a long time, or we're here for a fun time, not a long time. Just 90 minutes this movie is. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to chat about this week's film, Tremors.
Perfection. A scorched outpost in the middle of nowhere.
You know how close I am to leaving this place right now? How close?
Maybe that's why Val and Earl decided to leave town. Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Tremors.
Spoiler warning for Tremors. They're under the ground. I've told you, I've spoiled it for you already. They're under the ground. If you've not seen Tremors or Tremors 2 or Tremors 3 or Tremors 4 or Tremors 5 or Tremors
Or-
6, you're in for a treat because we're going to talk about it. But you should press pause. You should go make yourself a Graboid Guts cocktail, just one, just to try it, just to see if you like it. And then you can come back after you've seen the film. It's only about 90 minutes long. It's worth your time. And we can chat about all the things we loved, all the things we hated. Kevin Bacon. This was in
Kevin Bacon,
1990. This was in his heyday. It
prime,
was great.
prime, prime bacon right there. Yeah.
I want him to tell the story of how like his agent came to him and said, "I got a great idea for
Mm,
like a horror movie." And he started his career doing uh Friday the 13th, right? And so it
yep,
sort
that's
of
true.
comes into play where it was like, hey, do you want to do like you've been doing these like actiony, dancey movies, right? Like you've done some really cool kind of thriller-esque kind of things. How about like these things that kill you by learning your vibrations under the sun? And we have no idea where they came from. How about that? Let's do that.
Well, that's true. That's true. We can talk about Kevin Bacon hear more in a second. And on a side note, Tremors ends with Tremors 5 before they change the the numbering logic of that. But we'll talk about that too, probably. This was
Yeah,
released in 1990. It was directed by Ron Underwood, and it stars Kevin Bacon as handyman wannabe Val McKee, and his partner in crime, Earl Bassett, is played by Fred Ward. And Finn Carter is here playing Rhonda LeBeck, the geology graduate student unlucky enough to be studying in Perfection, Nevada. Seems like not a great place to be for any of like the 18 people that live in town. Let's talk about Kevin Bacon a little bit, Michaela. You already brought him up, so let's get right into him.
yeah.
Big year for Mr. Bacon in 1990. Was in Tremors, was in Flatliners. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But yeah, he'd done a bunch of things, right? Obviously, he did Footloose in 1984.
Mm,
That was kind of the
mhm.
big one, I think, for him. And then, a couple of other things here over the next, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, but nothing really too monumental until Tremors comes out. And was Tremors monumental? Not really. It didn't perform particularly well at the box office. It wasn't really until it came out onto VHS where it, got legs or whatever graboids have, and really kind of set the world on fire and became this beloved uh, comedy horror creature feature kind of a thing. But Kevin Bacon in this is fantastic, right?
Oh, he's amazing. And there's nothing quite like the dynamic between Kevin and Earl, right? Or Kevin or Val and Earl, played by Fred Ward. I love their banter. Look, this film is pretty well written from a dialogue perspective because they make this 90 minutes happen super fast, like where you have a whole backstory, things are implied, things are said. I would love the like a prequel of how Val and Earl came to be living in a trailer in Perfection, Nevada. I would love that because they are one of six people who live there. There's this beautiful valley, and we got to talk a little bit about these shots because it was filmed in California.
Hmm.
Apparently, it was filmed in this valley where you can see these beautiful mountains in the background. Reba McEntire's character, her and her husband are survivalists, and that's the whole reason they picked that place was because geographic isolation. Like they're in the middle of freaking nowhere, and yet there are these 15 people that are just one long smorgasbord for the Graboid
Just
things.
what? Yeah, absolutely. I love their banter. I love their back and forth. Fred Ward is playing the character Earl Bassett here, and seems like older and wiser than Val somehow, even though they're both kind of a bunch of knuckleheads. But Earl has like big plans, right? He wants to get out of there. He's like Perfection, Nevada. That's not good. You can't make a living being a handyman in a town that only has like 12 people in addition to us, right? Like you have to get out, strike out, find love. Maybe I like they like come across. They're like driving through the desert as you do because that's all there is to do, and they come across Rhonda LeBeck, who's played by Finn Carter here, and I love her because like the first time we're introduced to her, she has like the thickest like zinc based sunscreen like on her nose, and of course Earl is like completely smitten with this girl like straight off the bat. But Val, Kevin Bacon's character, he's not too smitten, right? He has his ideals for women, and I like that. He like immediately like pulls down his visor on his car, and
Yeah,
he's like, no, this is it, Dad. He has like
this is it.
his ex-girlfriend there.
Tammy
So I
Lynn
like
Baxter. That's
so I love
that's her name.
I love that. I love their banter, and I love that the film opens up with Earl like asleep in the bed of this truck, and Val's trying to wake him. This film's only like 90 minutes long, but like literally like the first like 4 minutes of the movie is dedicated to Val trying to wake Earl up, and I thought that that was pretty great. It was
Yeah,
quite the
no, it was
decision.
great. Quite the decision to stampede it. Again, I love it. They're fighting about who's cooking breakfast that morning. They went and slept out on the range because they're doing fence work, right? Um, and they just had it. This today is the day. Val and Earl, they go to the corner store where oh my gosh, what are they named? That Reba McEntire's character and her husband, they're getting bullets and they're getting
Oh
like
yeah,
they're getting
Bert and
groceries.
Heather
Bert
Gummer.
and Heather, and he's like, what they're like, can you help us look at this? And he's like, no, I got plans. See, Earl explained it to me. See, we made plans, so we don't have to do any work right this minute. But they go out, they're working on. There's a great scene where they're in front of another trailer with Melvin, who's like the world's most jerkiest 16-year-old kid. He's such a jerk, and you wonder why because he has no one to play with. He's all alone, so
Yeah,
he's just pulling pranks on people and it ends up coming to bite him back in the butt later. But they're doing that sewage septic cleanup and it explodes all over
yeah.
them and they're like, that's it, we're done, we're moving,
That's it.
we're
That's
getting
it.
out,
Get
leaving, we're
out.
going to
Get out of
Bixby,
town.
which is apparently a town of 200 people, so it's a million
Oh my
times
gosh.
bigger.
Yeah, it's like 20 times the size. Yeah, I like the kid, Melvin Plug. He's played by Bobby Jacoby. He's like represented as like this like high school age kind of a kid, but I don't think that he has any like parents represented in the movie, so I don't know like who this kid belongs to. There is another kid in town too.
Mindy.
And I thought that was pretty good. Mindy, who's played by Ariana Richards, who goes on to be Lex in Jurassic Park, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, you have this whole like cast of characters in the sound, which is pretty fun. And Val and Earl are out doing these odd jobs when they drive across something that seems a little suspicious, right? This guy, what's his name? His name is Edgar. I think is like halfway up this electrical like pole kind of a thing. There, they assume that he's like went up there like drunk and passed out, but no. It turns out that he's up there. He has died of dehydration. He's clutched on to like his rifle. There, they get him down, and they're like, "Man, what? Why would you climb up this electrical pole and dehydrate yourself to death? What could possibly be that scary? That's going to be coming along to get at you?"
Yeah. 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 And there's a doctor, the one doctor, his wife. Apparently they're building a house in the middle of nowhere. And we see uh Earl and Val are like, well, that's weird. Let's keep going. So they just keep driving out of town because the way this works is, and they really do a great job of explaining without explaining where they are kind of in the state, right? So they've got mountains and they've got cliffs on one, like cliffs to the east and mountains to the west, or vice versa. And so the only way in and out of this valley is to go through this tiny like road up through the mountains in to get to Bixby, which is like the nearest town. So Earl and Val, they drive through. They're trying to drive through, and they see this herd. This Fred is a farmer. He was a farmer. His poor sheep are like strewn. Parts of them are strewn all over. Fred's head is like missing, like that's the only part that's left of him. It's very, very bloody and gruesome. And Val and Earl come right back to the corner store to try and call the police because this is not okay. They're cutting people's heads off here. So now we think there's this crazy killer on the loose, and maybe that's what scared Ed all the way up the flagpole thing. We don't
That's
know.
that's right. Yeah, we know because we saw the poster for the movie that there's some sort of creepy worm kind of thing. But I like when they come across the farmer and it's just like his head is like sticking up out of the thing, and they all assume that they assume that he's decapitated. But we know better that he's been swallowed up down into the earth. And then again, they call the police, and then they try to make their way out of town, which is bad news because apparently the only road in and out of Perfection, Nevada is under construction at this very moment, which is not great. I like they like stop to tell the two construction worker guys, they're like, "Hey, there's some serial killers on the loose. Look out." They're like, "What are you even talking about?" And about that time, we see our first glimpse of this Graboid, or at least like the little like tentacles as he goes and chases down these two construction workers. Val and Earl are going to return to the scene a little bit later and see kind of the aftermath of what had happened, and ends up running over a piece of this with the truck, and that's going to alert the town that there is something very foul afoot in Perfection, Nevada.
Right. Oh my gosh. I mean, I love it. They're like, what is that? It's a snake. It's a mutation. Of course, uh, Bert is like, what could this be? I got to go back with my 87 guns and find it, and they're deciding they take their, they decide they're going to take their guns back and, do like a search, and he's like, I can't find any spore, I can't find any weird, but it smells really bad. Maybe that's something that we can figure out. The evening comes and goes, right? And we see the doctors, the doctor and his wife, they're looking out at the stars and they're listening to the music, and then all of a sudden their generator goes up in flames, and it ends up taking both of them down. And this is when it starts to, really, I don't know, impress upon like the thought process of these beings, because you think she's going to be okay because he's been pulled down into the ground, and she gets into her car and she locks all the doors, but they just dig a hole like right under her car, and they don't see her at all. Like, it's more what you don't see than what you do see in this scene. And I think that's actually the way that they show like the lights of the car kind of moving up, kind of like the Titanic when the Titanic was sinking kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary and it's kind of eerie. And then later the next day, they're stopping, or Earl and Val are stopping by the doctor's office or the doctor's house to make sure that they've left, because this stuff is real weird, or at least come back to town where there's safety in numbers. And they don't see anybody, but then they see the car, like the front of the car, kind of buried, and they're like, this is not okay. So they
Yeah.
go and do the same thing with the seismologist, right? Rhonda Lebeck, who I love her. She's not been in anything else, but by golly, she's perfect in this role.
Yeah, she was pretty good. She was pretty good. I do like they go back and they see the car and it's like the headlight is like shining up through the dirt. That's
Hmm.
pretty cool looking there. But yeah, you mentioned it. It's like what they're not showing you here. And dare I say that Tremors is very Jaws-esque in in this sense, right? So they're really holding these graboids back. But yeah, of course they go and they've called the police and they're like, "What are you two idiots? What are you even talking about?" Right? All this bad stuff is happening. They can't seem to get this through to anyone. So you go and you talk to the only expert in town. Uh, now Rhonda is there as this geologist graduate student. So she has this seismology reader. I guess
Mm,
she's there to study like earthquakes in the area or something like that. And we
mm.
keep, it keeps going back and it'll show like these little spikes on this thing. And she's been kind of tracking these. She doesn't really know what they are, but about the time that Val and Earl come and talk to her about that, she's like, oh, it's could be these other things, and she's tracked like four of them. And that's good. So now we learn a little bit more. We've learned that there are four of these worms that we need to deal with, but the first one we're going to deal with is going to be the most treacherous of them, of course, because Val and Earl are driving across town and they end up running into trouble and they have to go and flee on foot. You see this graboid worm is just tearing up the landscape and behind them, but I maybe a little bit of a plot hole right here. It just like runs into like a cement wall, and that's enough to take out the first one. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, we knocked him out, and he's like, no, he's dead. Like, but then she shows up, right? Rana Lebeck is this is where she's like, what is that? And she's like, oh my gosh, this is the biggest, like, this predates the fossil records, perhaps. There's, could this be aliens? What could this possibly be? We've never seen anything like this. And I have to say that when you talk about like this whole world that this movie kind of created and bloomed, right? Um, there are now like literal skeletal like dioramas of what an American graboid is
Mm,
and
hmm
what how it possibly could have worked and all of that, which I find hilarious. But basically, it's a giant worm that's got these little worms inside it that have that all that, like in its mouth. It's like an alien esque where it's a mouth and then there's a mouth inside the mouth, but this is like
hmm
eight
hmm
mouths or six mouths inside the mouth, and it can easily just push itself through rock or through dirt, but not rock, right? And so there's this really great scene again, these little vignettes of like how they try to outsmart these worm things, right? They have to do these pole vault things on these rocks to get to the truck, but then they don't have a lot of time because it'll just dig a hole. I don't know how it digs a hole when it doesn't when it just burrows, but either way, um, they get back to land. We get back to the middle of the nowhere town, and everybody starts getting
Yeah,
picked off one by one because they don't stay high enough off the ground.
that's right.
It's
Yeah,
really
they
sad.
they get back to Chang's grocery store
Yeah.
or convenience store or whatever it's called, right? Victor Wong is playing Walter Chang there. It's kind of the local meeting place of the town because it's about the only thing that is in town. And from there, you can see all the other houses pretty much, right? Because this is a town like literally of like 18 people, I think it says on
Mm.
the road sign that you're when you're coming into town. So they get there and they've figured out now, with the help of Rhonda Lebeck, that what they're attracted to really is vibration, right? They can hear that. That makes sense. We know that from like
Mm.
earthworms, I guess. So
Mm.
that's
Mm.
true. That tracks. That makes sense. And about that time, the little like Coca-Cola freezer kind of thing like kicks on and starts vibrating and that's bad news because that's going to draw the graboid there. It's going to come up through like the bottom of the grocery store. Walter Chang is not long for the world as he gets eaten almost straight away, and then everyone else flees up to the roof, which is exactly what you should do. Kids, if you're in a graboid kind of a situation, and they're calling around town, right? They have like this, like, long range radio. There's calling over to the prepper couple. They're shouting out at that dopey kid who keeps trying to trick everyone. They're trying to get
Mm.
everyone up on top of their roofs, right? These graboids are around. Get up there, get high. We need to come up with a plan. We've killed one, but there's still three of these things, and that's not good. Luckily, you have Bert and Heather over there. They
Mm.
can't be concerned at all, right? They know what the deal is with this. So when a graboid busts through their basement wall, they're going to meet their end. And this is my favorite scene in the whole movie because these two are preppers. They're like very like nutso, like very much like tinfoil like on their heads, kind of a thing. So they start
Mhm.
shooting at this graboid that busts through the wall, right? So they unload like I don't know, like 50 rounds of ammo into this thing. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. So they turn around and the camera pans, and there is this most gigantic wall of guns behind them. It's so incredible. It's so amazing.
It is so great. Like, and I didn't see the irony in this or like the genius in this because at first it's just this very tight shot of them shooting with their, automatic rifles or whatever, right? And I'm not a gun person, so I don't know what they are. Don't fight me. But like they run out of bullets and then they like it pans and it's like, well, here's 10,000 more other guns. Choose which one you want. And he even says later, he's like, this is cannon fuse for my cannon. Like, who are you planning on fighting? Like, are the English coming again to take us over? What is happening over there at their house? And I love because they think on in the general store when they're out on the roof, they can hear all the gunshots. So these two people are now deaf, by the way. They've got permanent hearing loss for sure, but we can hear them across the valley. And Val and the rest of the town that's still alive, they're like, oh no, they're goners. They're not going to make it. But they like unload so much lead into this poor worm thing. It can't even get out. Like it finally tries to like make a hole in the roof so it can escape, and it can't even do that. And it finally just dies. And Bert is so happy. He's like, "You broke into the wrong rec room, didn't you?" Ha ha! Like it's so great. And then he gets back on the radio and he's like, "We killed that thing. We killed it. It's
Yeah.
amazing."
I love
Uh,
that so much, and I love Val eventually talks them all into going to like the mountains, right? To like try to get out of town,
mhm.
to get out of this valley
Right.
where the graboids are, and so of course they go along with them, right to
Yeah.
Bert
Yeah.
and Heather, and they get there, and Bert's like, I could have just stayed in my rec room and taken out these other two of these things. You dragged me all the way up here. What'd you do that for? And you have to get a plan, right, to go fishing for graboids. That takes care of the one with the cannon fuse, right? So why do you have cannon fuse? Well, for my cannon, of course. They get one, but there's a fourth one that's a little bit smarter. But is it smarter than Val? Probably yes, but it's still going to meet its end anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this was a kind of a hole in the story because they knew that they would eventually like they were close to getting to the mountains, but they kind of get like stuck and they got to go to the residual boulders that are kind of again in the middle of this valley. Um, and they have, of course, without Bert and Heather, they would have all died. Let's be clear about that. Because not only did Bert and Heather kill one of them in their basement with their 87,000 guns, they also were like, let's make bombs to throw at them. I love this idea. Let's do that.
Yeah,
And
it's a
it's
good
like,
idea.
and of course, they make fun of him, and Bert's like, it's few household chemicals in the proper proportions. It's great. But they make like 30 of these things. They've got quite a bit of them, right? And they decide in these boulders that they're going to go fishing, right, for these. And it works on one. And that's spectacular and gross. I love it because it
Mm.
explodes in the ground
Like
and then it just kind of
showers them with
flings
their graboid guts
graboid guts
cocktail.
everywhere. So
Yeah.
great. It's so
Mm.
wonderful. I love it so much. But the last one's probably my favorite, if I have to say. The way they get rid of the last one. Spoiler warning, they get rid of all of them, we think. Um,
Ooh, yeah,
although
well,
there's some foreshadowing there.
they get
There
rid of
is some
all of them
foreshadowing
for
there.
now, as far as we know. Yeah, absolutely. So Val decides, right? The last one is smart. It's not going to fall prey to to this. Actually, it throws like the bomb like TNT thing like back up at them. So that's not great. So what he decides to do is he's going to just make like a beeline for it, right?
Mm,
Earlier in the film, there's been a little bit of a joke about a stampede. Like it's very much like an in passing joke. Like so
mm.
so the tie here is a little bit loose. But yeah, a stampede, right? This worm is just gonna, it's be seeing you see in red following after Val, and Val's going to take off and go running, and he runs straight for this cliff, but he knows that he can see that it's a cliff, but the graboid doesn't know that it's a cliff. So you see the graboid
Mm.
just tunnel its way through the cliff, down, like into this ravine, and it just like hits these rocks and explodes. It's so gross looking. It's so
It's
gross.
so nasty. It is. It's totally gross. And I love it so much. And everybody freaks out. And now life is good again. Like they're like, everything's fine. All of their houses have been destroyed. Um,
Mm,
Bert's rec room will never be the same.
That's true. Just gonna
Half
smell
the
that in
town
there
is
probably.
dead. Half the town's
Yeah,
dead, but they're
nine of the 18 people are dead. It's no good.
But they're like retreading their tires. Like they're retiring this old truck. This truck, by the way, that Val and Earl drive, it's amazing. Like it's an old Ford, I think. It's so cool.
That's pretty cool.
It's probably like 65 years old now. I mean, it looked amazing. Um, but Val, finally gets enough courage to kiss Rhonda because they've survived, you know. And it sets things up very nicely for a nice end. One thing that I wish that they had done a little bit is had more than just the one foreshadowing shot, because when they see the third graboid explode because of the bomb that it eats, right? You
Hmm.
can see when they pan down and show the guts of it. It's super gross, but there are these like egg looking pod things
Yeah.
that they show for later, that in the forthcoming films they're like, oh, they lay eggs, and so that's, we thought they were done, but they weren't done. Ha 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 ha. um but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's the movie.
is a pretty light foreshadowing, and maybe that's fair. Like I mentioned at the top, it doesn't. The film didn't make like a ton of money, so it wouldn't be until 1996 that the sequel would come out. Which is, if this would have been a hit, it would have been, fast line. So it really didn't like gain, quote unquote legs until the home video release of it came out, and it
Right,
started to get
right.
kind of this cult following. I wanted to make mention. You mentioned that they kind of get together there at the end, Val and uh
Rhonda.
Val and Rhonda get together, and like when Rhonda's walking up to the truck, you see Val like grabbing all the pictures off of his sun visor real quick. So that's pretty
Yeah.
funny. Kevin Bacon is amazing in this, and obviously kind of propelled. We talked a little bit about that he had done Footloose, basically,
Mm.
uh, and then several years later did this, but kind of coming on the footsteps of this, Kevin Bacon did a lot of stuff that really propelled him into being kind of this good looking kid, young guy actor that had been in Footloose and had been in Tremors and in Flatliners, but goes on to do like JFK the next year and A Few Good Men the year after that. Kind of
Hmm.
leads the way in like The River Wild and then into Apollo 13. Like that all happens like over the next like 5 years of his career. So I think the Tremors really kind of, put a literal like foot in the sand, to propel the career of Kevin Bacon there. And yeah, this thing definitely did grow and grow and grow just like a Graboid does, because there were a bunch of things. You mentioned Tremors 2, 3, 4, and 5, which come out over the next I don't know, like 25 years to 2015. There's a sixth film, Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell. Absolutely. 2018. There was also Tremors Shrieker Island, which came out in 2020. Apparently, I didn't know that. And then on the Sci Fi Channel, the good old Sci Fi Channel in 2003, there was a television series called Tremors the Series. But I think that it only had like a couple of episodes before that got canceled. So none of those could live up to what was the first one. And kind of this like campy comedic delight
Mm.
of a creature film, I think.
For sure, for sure. I mean, this, we didn't cover this in like during Halloween time, because it's not, to me, it's not scary in the slightest. It's just like this kind of, like you said, creepy, like comedic monster movie, basically, where
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
like, it's so good. And I grew up with it. I think if you ask any of these people, they're going to be like, nah, I mean, it wasn't a great film, but it's a great movie. It's a really fun ride. I actually showed it to my kid this weekend. And aside from the language and the monster gore, it's pretty tame. So yeah, I thought it was great. My kid loved it. He was like, "Oh my gosh, why did this is so great!" Like he wants to be Val McKee for Halloween, which no one's going to. It's
It's just
basically
a guy in a
Kevin
jean
Bacon in a
jacket.
base
Yeah.
in a right. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, the
The
film. It's so good.
It is so good. A lot of the effects look really neat. I don't know. They were shooting this on location in California. I don't know if like any of it was done on some sort of a soundstage, because it seems very impressive what they're able to do in terms of like moving the earth around and stuff like that, which seems like that would be
Mhm.
hard to do like on like the real actual ground. I don't know if that's how they were doing it, but like the graboids themselves look really good in the film. Obviously, they look gross, and apparently they fought to get this down to a PG-13 rating from a rated R or from an R rating, mostly
Hmm.
due to language there. And I wonder then, I guess a lot of this stuff was like overdubbed, so there's a bunch of
Yeah.
things that you could imagine that were probably different words in there. But one of kind of the recurring things in the film is that one of the characters will swear, and then they'll say, "Pardon my French," and then they'll swear again, like immediately after it, which is
Hmm.
pretty funny. So I don't know if that was like it couldn't have been added in after the fact because it's kind of just in the flow of the film. So I don't know if that's where like the changes and like the delivery of those swear words came. But that's also something that's pretty comedic throughout the film.
It is. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and they all get in on it, right? Earl's doing it, Melvin's doing it. Rhonda finally
Yeah,
does it
even
when she's
Rhonda
like, "We're
does
gonna
it. Yeah,
run." She's like, "Never mind, pardon my French." No, it's good. It's worth your time. I don't know if all six of them or eight of them um
I know. I never saw any
are
of them, but this one, and I
I
can
know
tell you
I
right
don't know
now.
if I don't know if any of them are worth your time, but this one is definitely worth your time.
This one,
It's 90
this one
minutes.
is.
Go do it.
That's right. It is 90 minutes well spent for sure. So that is Tremors from 1990. So go check it out. It's a fun one for sure. If you haven't seen it, to go back. I mean, it's just a fun campy little ride, and Kevin Bacon's like so good in it, so that's pretty amazing too. So check that out and check out the Graboid Guts cocktail. If you do mix up one of those cocktails, take pictures and send that to us. If you have any comments about Tremors, if we are dead wrong about Tremors 4, maybe Tremors 4 is the real bright spot of the series. I don't know. Let us know that. You can do that on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see pictures of our Graboid Guts episode recaps, links to the merchandise shop, Drink the video games, all that stuff can be found on our website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. And also on the website, you will find the link to our Patreon, which is a great way to support the podcast. You get bonus episodes, hangouts, cocktail chats, drink the video games behind the scenes, all sorts of stuff is over there. And we appreciate our patrons so much. Again, it is patreon.com/drink the movies. Michaela, we went to 1990 to talk about Tremors this week. Next week, we're going to be going to this current year to talk about Freakier Friday, I think is the plan. People are definitely, after you see Tremors, of course you're going to want to see Freakier Friday, of course. So where can people follow along and make sure they go on that journey with us?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. We love what we do here at Drink the Movies, but that's not all we do. We also do Drink the Video Games. And that's really cool. We have another episode of that coming out. Even if you're not a video game fan, you should check it out because it's really cool to learn about all that stuff. And we always do a cocktail. Anything that, if you're liking what you're hearing on any of our forums, you should share us on all the social medias, leave us a 5-star review, send us a message about what you want more of, what movies you want, what cocktails you want. Anything like that helps build the community and get more Drink the Movies, Drink the Video Game stuff out there.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up for episode 230, Tremors. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
Movies.
Movies.
Stampede! I just the rock paper scissors thing is pretty cool too. He's
Rock,
like,
paper,
well,
scissors thing's pretty good.
yeah, yeah.
You're just too old to remember what you had for breakfast yesterday.